Hello students, myself Anand Kumar welcome you all to my first class of Social Science class 6 and I congratulate you all for a entirely new academic session 2020-21. Students, today we are going to learn about social science and for your information, for your convenience, I want to share with you all that social science is entirely a new subject for you all, right? As you all have approached to class 6 from standard 5 recently. So, for your or our convenience, if I might like to say, our own convenience means you all and myself. I thought that let's give you some basic idea about the subject first and then proceed to the class to the further chapters. Students, before starting the chapter, you must be knowing what is social science. So, in simple definition or in simple term, you can easily recall social science as the study that social science, it is the study of the activities of the physical as well as social environment. Means social science, I repeat it once again, social science is the study of the activities of the physical and social environment. In simple definition, we can explain or we can define social science like that. Physical activity, the activity which are done by the humans, and the social environment means the environment which is related to the changes that happen in our past, which we will study in history, and the changes, geographical changes which happened on our earth, that we will study in geography. So, in social science and in class 6, basically you have to read three different subjects. In history, in class 6, you will read about ancient history, and in ancient history, in our school, we prescribe NCERT book, and the name of the history book is Our Past 1. Again, in geography, the name of the book is The Earth and the Earth, Our Habitat, and in civics, we will uh, the name of the book is Social and Political Life. Now, this was all about the intro part of the subject social science. Today, we are going to start with history, Our Pasts. The name of the book, I again recall it, Our Pasts Part 1. And in that book, in the history, we will take up with chapter number 1, and very interesting name of the chapter as well. What, where, how, and when. This is the name of the chapter that we are going to study in history today. Before coming to the chapter, first we will give a quick review of the mind map of this chapter, that in the given chapter we will learn about some basic terms to understand the chapter as a whole. As a whole means completely, in a better manner. So, we have started reading history today, and we are knowing that we are reading the chapter number 1, what, where, how, and when. These are the 4 important elements of this chapter that we are going to read about. Before starting the chapter, you must be knowing in the mind map or in your mind map, you must be knowing that what is history. So, history, it is the process of studying and recording the events which occurred in the past, means all those things which has happened in the past, and the process of studying those events which has happened in the past or which have occurred in the past is called history. Now, who is a historian? The second question, the question might come in some of the students' mind, that who is a historian? So, historian is nobody, he is a living being, he is a person. Historian is a person who studies and records history, and that person is known as historian. In this chapter, we will also see the time frame of history. According on the basis of time frame, the history can be divided into two branches mainly. Number 1, prehistory. Number 2, proto-history. Now, what is prehistory? It is important to know if we are taking up any new term, and all these terms are very new to you all. So, it is very much important to understand the meaning of each and every term and then proceed in the chapter. I will not be in a hurry to complete the chapter, but my motto is that I will go slow, and my motive is that maximum of my students, not maximum, all of my students in the class should understand whenever when they go home after the class, or when they recall the subject, they must be knowing what they had studied today, no matter if it is 4 terms, 6 terms only, but the matter is that what we have taken and what has been fitted in our mind smoothly and comfortably. So, prehistory is known as the time period before the written history. Many things has happened in the past, but the writing has evolved a very years after. So, that is the time period when the history was being written on manuscripts, inscription, all these terms we will come across in the chapter. So, I will explain in detail when the terms will come in this chapter. So, written in manuscript, that is called as the written history. Proto-history. Proto-history is known as the period between the prehistory and history. So, the period, the time period between prehistory and history. Prehistory means before the period before the history was written. So, the period between the prehistory and history is called the proto-history, and the most important thing which we are going to read in this chapter, or the most important aspect of this chapter, significance, importance of this chapter, or why we are studying history, these all things we are going to know in this chapter. Introduction. In this chapter, firstly we will try to understand the 4 basic things, as the name of the chapter also suggests. Students, very carefully read the name of the chapter again. What is the name of the chapter? The name of the chapter is what, comma, where, comma, how and when. Means the 4 important elements which we are going to study in this chapter. On the basis of those elements only the chapter name has been given. So, to make a better understanding, to make a clear understanding about the chapter, and Student must not be must not be confused that what sir is telling, what, where, how, and when. What is the meaning of all these things? Why we are reading this? So please be patient. All those questions which are coming in your mind will be wiped off as we proceed further inside the chapter. So, to make the better understanding, I will make you understand with the help of the example. Let's suppose your father and mother, your parents might be familiar with the means of transportations. What are the means of transportation? Today we use railways, airways, roadways, waterways, etc. So, your parents might be familiar with the means of transportation because they are living in the present world, means of transportation like aeroplane, but your grandparents it not be familiar with the means of transportation that you are seeing nowadays, I am seeing, your parents are seeing nowadays, but they might be familiar with buses and trains as well as at that time. Again, your great grandparents, means your grandparents' parents, might be familiar, might be known to with the means of transportation, such as there is a spelling mistake here, so I am sorry for that, like carts and bullock carts. Tonga, that is mostly pulled up by the horses, and bullock carts pulled up by the oxes. So, now what has happened? We can easily understand that if you recall the example again, we can easily understand that how the means of transportation has evolved, has changed with the passage of time. As the time passes by, the means of transportation has got modifications in that also. So, I think up till here everything must be clear to your mind. This was the day 1 class lecture of your social science subject history book Our Pasts 1 NCERT CBSE chapter What, Where, How, and When. Students, very uh, commonly we come to hear that from the students only that social science is a very lengthy subject, is not very boring subject, it is not very interesting subject. You might also have heard from your seniors as well, or if you haven't heard, you might come across those sentences from the students. But let me make you clear the concept of this, that social science is not a boring subject, and I assure you that as this is entirely a new subject for you all in class 6, but if you all will cooperate with me, with will coordinate with me in the manner as I want to give knowledge regarding this subject, I will, or I am assuring you all that throughout this the session of 2020 sorry 2020 you will not find this subject boring, and but even you will be feeling that this is very interesting subject. So, for today I will not make this lecture very lengthy, as this is your first intro you take it as an intro class of social science. On day 1, so I had prepared some assignment for you all as well, that I had given you very easy questions, 5 questions to do, and most of the answers are provided in the sheets as well. So, I hope that you complete your assignment and bring it to the school positively when the effect of coronavirus reduces. So, for the time being, thank you so much. Stay home, stay safe.